What's up, everybody? It's your boy Al. Just coming back from a funeral. One of our former members of our church passed away, so we went to pay our respects. Me and my wife were talking about something the other day. She asked me, why does it seem like all the women now are taking the lead in these social activism situations when the marches and all of that stuff are going on today? She sees a lot of women at the forefront and want to know why the men, where are the men? Why are the men taking the forefront like they used to do? When you look at the old footage of the marches and stuff, you always saw the men leading. Dr. King and whoever he was with. These gentlemen always led. Sisters were at work as well, but the men were leading. It seems today you look at a lot of the marches and you look at a lot of the protests and things that are going on, it seems like the women are doing the leading, which leads a lot of people, including my wife, to believe that the men have taken a back seat and need to step up. She is, and I am of the belief that the men are the leaders and should be leading this thing. So just want to put it out there. My question to you all is, are you comfortable with seeing the women lead, or do you think the men should be at the forefront of this whole Black Lives Matter movement with all of the brothers and the sisters that are being murdered? And why do you think it is that the women are now starting to take the lead? There are a few different variables and different schools of thought when it comes to this kind of thing. Or are the men not leading because we don't feel like we can lead? We haven't been taught to lead. One of the things about black men in the past is certain black men were prepped to lead. Dr. Martin Luther King was prepped to lead. So are we prepping men to lead? Do they know what to do? Do we know what to do as potential leaders? Are we made to lead? Do we have the character to lead? One of the historical things about black male leaders, men at the forefront, they were always men of pristine character. You couldn't look at their character and find things to damn them about. I know later on people, made a big deal of Dr. Martin Luther King and his extramarital affairs and things of that nature. But outside of that, in the public eye, he wasn't running the streets. He was living the kind of life before the cameras that qualified him to be a leader. And so I see a lot of our men out here today, and I ask myself, how many of us have the character to lead like that? If we step to the forefront to lead, will we be able to have the character where if people look in our backgrounds, they won't find anything to tear us down for? I know that a lot of sisters are leading because they are the leaders in their households. How much of that has an effect on men not leading? You have a woman who has black male children. She sees other black male children like hers getting murdered. She's going to go out there, man or no man, and she's going to protest because she has black children to raise. So how much of the household deal it has changed this situation? When black men led the homes, leading a home qualifies you to lead movements. If you can't lead your home, you can't lead a movement. So maybe that's part of the problem as well. You have a lot of men who don't lead their homes successfully, don't lead their households. And if you can't lead your household successfully, you can't lead a movement. You can't be a leader in the community if you can't lead your own household successfully. Maybe some people don't think that that's the case. That's how I feel. You have to be a leader in your household before you can be a leader anywhere else. You have to be able to lead your wife and your children before you can be a leader anywhere else. And I know that throughout the past 20 to 30 years or so, there have been a lot of men who've not exemplified the character to be leaders. A lot of men have stepped out on their children, stepped out on the mother of their children. There are some brothers who've been caught up in the system, justly or unjustly, which has taken a lot of them out of the picture. It's brought a lot of them back into the picture. A lot of people go to prison, serve time, get active in the community after they come out. So you see a lot of that. And I'm not saying that there are no brothers that are stepping out My wife's not saying there are no brothers that are stepping out and stepping up, but what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot of the leadership being taken on by women. And how do you feel about that? Because one of the things that must be considered is there are a lot of women today that don't subscribe to that old traditional way of thinking. They don't subscribe to the men are the leaders and women play the back. They say they feel they just the same and they're just as equal. They don't subscribe to that. That's one of the things that must be considered when thinking about the leadership in the communities, the leadership in these marches. There are a lot of sisters who just don't subscribe to I'll play the back and you play the front. They haven't experienced that in the home successfully. They haven't experienced that with their mates successfully. So because they haven't experienced that, they don't want to live that when it comes to protests, when it comes to standing up for civil rights, Black Lives Matter, and things of that nature. They feel they've done it all to begin with. So why not step up to the forefront and lead, since they've had to lead their households? So there is that. When some women just, they don't have that old school way of thinking. Some just by, because of the times, and some because of their situation. Some women haven't had those struggles. They just feel that that's old and archaic. They don't believe in that anymore. But if you are the kind of person that believes that a man should lead, where do you think the men are? Why do you think that we aren't leading this thing like we used to lead this thing? Do you think it's because we don't have the character to lead? We don't have the development to lead? And I'll say this, just as a leader in general, for a black leader, in the like of a Dr. Martin Luther King, I don't even know if, because I hear people ask a lot, where's the black leader now? Like, where is the Dr. Martin Luther King of our day? I don't think that we could, as a black community, the unfortunate reality is we wouldn't do well with the Dr. Martin Luther King today. Because we're too all over the place. We wouldn't all agree on who that leader is. We'd be divided on different things about him and his character and his politics and what he believes, what he's done. Hell, to be, honest, every black person didn't agree with Dr. Martin Luther King. There was some parts of the country where he would go, and the black people in the parts of the country would be like, bro, you got to get out of here with that. So black people didn't all agree on Dr. King. So I know if someone was to arise today, black people would not be like, that's our leader. Al Sharpton's been doing a good job. Props to Al in that. But I just don't think that in this time we could have one person who's a black leader. But I will say that I do believe the males need to step up. The men need to step up. We do need to take charge. We do need to do a better job at making sure we're leading our community. I'm a firm believer that the male is the head of the household, and that if we don't lead, things will not operate as they should. I believe we are the ones who should lead these marches, not just for the men, but for the women too. These sisters that's getting murdered, we fellas, we dropping the ball. I'm starting to see now a little bit more for Breonna. I'm starting to see that a little bit more now. But brothers, when these sisters get murdered by these cops, we got to be just as stoic and outraged as we are when a brother is murdered. We haven't supported our sisters like we're supposed to. They're supporting us, but we don't support them. I know a lot of brothers have stepped out on sisters. That's another video for another time. But when these sisters like Breonna is murdered, and all the other sisters that have been murdered by cops, there was another sister in Canada who was pushed out her window. I don't hear anything about that, so we need to do a better job as men stepping up, leading. And tell me what you guys think. Do you think we're still the leaders? Do you think we can be leaders? Do you think we're qualified to be leaders? If so, then throw some names out there. Who could be the black leader of our community and our movement as we try to progress forward in this society? And why do you think that black men have stepped back and let women take the forefront? And if you're okay with that, let me know and why. Don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, put it in the comments, tell me what you think. If you agree with what I'm saying, if you don't agree, it's all good, it's all love. Tell a friend, tell somebody that your boy Al's on it. And I'm about to get this barbecue, take it to the house. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Peace.